So the song that I chose to do my analysis, find a project for, is God Help the Outcast, cast from Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The song itself is sung by Esmeralda, the character in the movie. She's a gypsy, therefore an outcast, and friends during a time that persecution was happening to gypsies. The song takes place about midway through the film, and it takes place actually in the Notre Dame, the big cathedral. And I said I was going to do a painting for it. I did do one, but it's not as analytical as I'd hoped, so it's more showy than anything. So before we start the analysis, I would like to show you it. So here it is. I used the colors of Esmeralda, her outfit. I used her sash with the coins, and her skirt, the purple skirt, her corset, and her pink hair ribbon. And then of course I have the actual music that I am going to analyze later on in this little film or video. I dipped it in coffee hoping that it would turn more yellow. It just made it kind of hard, but it made it easier to work with to put on the actual canvas. So with that out of the way, and with the introduction of the song out of the way, it's time for the analysis. Okay, to begin, God Help the Outcast from the Hunchback of Notre Dame, I want to point out the form of it. So it's broken up into 5 parts. You have the intro, the verse, the chorus, bridge, and then chorus again. So that being said, I want to point out also, it starts out in E flat minor, which is significant considering minor in the Western tradition is usually considered a sad kind of tone to music, melancholy, I guess you could also say. And based on the information I gave earlier, it would make sense why the composer Alan Menken would put it in a minor key. But the interesting thing that he does is he actually eventually puts in a key change from E flat minor to C major, but I'll point that out later. So the entire song, God Help the Outcast, is in 3/4 time, and it's broken up into 3 different staff lines. You have 2 treble staffs, 1 and 2, and then you have a bass clef. So the first staff right here, you can see the lyrics and everything, is for the voice. So this is a song that's sung, obviously. It's in a musical from Disney, so it's going to be sung. And then you have the accompaniment, which is for this piece of music, it's piano. And you can see that they actually line up pretty well, where it's moving in a, what's the word, a similar or direct motion. This is in one part, da 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 da, da 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 da. Here's another part, and if you keep going, here it is again. Here it is again. Ooh, that's not one. Here it is again. And most of the music is written in triads and broken up into 3. The measures broken up to 3 parts. See, da 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 da, da da da. Obviously, it's not going to be sounding like that. So that's what it usually is. Mostly it's stepwise fashion, as you can see here. I'm going to zoom in. So it's F F F E D C D, and that's a lead. This is a minor lead compared to some of them they have here. This will be a little bit major, more major. Here is a pretty big leap right here. My favorite leap is, of course, at the very end, where you go da 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 from a B to a C, but different parts. High C. Okay. Now, let's move on to cadences. So I found 3 different types of cadences. I found 4 examples of unfinished cadences. Here is the first unfinished cadence right here from from 1 to 5. And here's another one. 2 to 5. And then the next one, this is actually a polygonal cadence from 4 to 1. I like the sound of polygonal cadences. And I like that the composer put a polygonal cadence right here at the very end of verse 1. I think it was a better choice than if he would have chosen a unfinished cadence as he puts in verse 1 and at the end of the chorus, the first chorus. And here's the next example. This is going into the unfinished cadence. This is going into the bridge, which there's a lot of things happening in the bridge. Here's the next unfinished cadence. And then I'll point out the last 2 cadences, which are both finished authentic cadences. So the very end of the second chorus, it ends from 5 to 1, which is very beautiful. I'll show that in a second. And then at the very end of the outro, it ends a 5 to 1, a finished authentic cadence. Okay, so the first thing we're going to listen to is the finished cadences, both in the second chorus and the outro. So this is the very end of the bridge going into the second chorus. It's also during this second chorus that the key change is taking place from E minor to C major. That was the finished authentic cadence right there, the first one. And that was the second finished authentic cadence. Doesn't it just sound so beautiful and complete? Okay, so the next topic that I really want to talk about is the fact that there is a key change. So as I said before, it starts out in E flat minor and remains in E flat minor for practically the whole piece. It goes from E flat minor, from the intro, the first verse, the chorus, the bridge, and then it is only the second chorus and the outro that is actually in C major. And the reason why I think, can't be positive obviously, the composer chose to do this was because it's ending the piece on a high note. You know, major keys are happier keys, and it's kind of hopeful in a way. And it gives depth to the piece and growth to the piece, if that makes sense. Where if you stayed in a minor key, the emotions invoked of the listener wouldn't have changed. It would still be of melancholy, of sadness, whereas ending it in a major key, it gives hopefulness, you know, You think at this point in the film things are going to turn around, or at least it will eventually get better. And something that a prayer is usually something you start off very sad, and it ends up getting hopeful usually. So I think it kind of resembles that, or reflects a prayer, as well as even a film in a way, because usually you want to end it on a higher note than what you started on, and it gives an arc to the piece of music from an E flat minor, sadness, melancholy, to C major, happiness, hopefulness. And I thought that was very beautiful that he chose to have a key change, because honestly, if you've seen the film, it could have stayed minor in a way, because things do get a little worse before they get better. But because he chose to do that key change, I think in a way it invokes in the viewer of the film and the music, you still have hopefulness through all that, you know. And I think that's something that this piece of music does for the film. And next, what I want to point out is right here. I highlighted it. It's at the very end of the petitioners, or the bridge, the piece of the song where the petitioners are singing, or the very end of the bridge. I was playing this today on a keyboard that I found, and at first it didn't strike me as important or very big, I guess. Nothing noteworthy. But as playing it, it really invoked something within me, an emotion, and I have to say this is a very beautiful lead-in. It's a major lead-in to the new key, the major key, and just these, I guess, 4 bars. I just did a highlighted E3 bars, but technically it goes on to a 4th bar. It's a beautiful lead-in, and I think he could have written a better one. The composer could have written a better one, and it really sets you up for the key. We're going to listen to this lead-in. Okay. So, do sound to it.
That's for sure.
Okay. So, that was a lead-in, but I think I should have gone back just a little bit more. Let's try this again. See, isn't that beautiful? Just going from Petitioner's song, that lead-in, into the new key. Absolutely flawless, really. The very last thing I want to highlight is just something very minor, and it is the accidentals that are in this piece. So it doesn't have very many accidentals, and all the accidentals take place during the Petitioner's song. Here's one, I circled it, so here's 1 accidental, here's 2 accidentals, 3 accidentals, and I believe that's it. The reason why I think he put only the accidentals in the Petitioner's song is to really set it off from the rest of the piece, because it is the bridge, and bridges are usually set off from the rest of the piece, but this sets it off even more, because it changes just a little bit, not too much, and it changes, I guess, the message compared to Esmeralda's. With all those elements being brought to light, and many more that I couldn't or didn't have time to analyze, you can see how beautiful this piece of music, written by Alan Merkin and lyrics by Steven Swartz, how wonderful and beautiful it is, and how it is the epitome of the entire film, because all the characters, pretty much the main characters, Fabius, Quasimodo, Esmeralda, are all Outcast. Yep, I think it's one of the most beautiful pieces of music to come out of Disney. It's one of my favorites.